Welcome back to another episode of Carmen's Crew Podcast. I come to you with joy. I come to you with happiness. Myself, David Lighty, Aaron Kraft, Adam Jardy, and Jared Sullinger. Just shouting out our Buckeyes, man, on a hell of a season. Finishing up strong. You know, it didn't go the way that we wanted it to, but I'm happy with the finish. But anyways, appreciate everybody over at New Amendment for making this possible. Y'all rocking with us all season long on this new journey that we taking. And I mean, it's been fun, man. I really didn't see myself as a podcaster, but I will say I enjoyed looking at you guys weekly and discussing our Buckeyes, you know, the love we have, you know, for Buckeye Nation and Buckeye basketball. So, I mean, I'll let each one of you guys give a little viewpoint of what you thought this past week and how they finished up at the Big Ten tournament. I start with Adam because you were there the longest, so you got all the details and the ins and outs of the great run I would say they had.
Yeah, it honestly it reminded me really of like what it was like covering you guys because
that's
it's been a while. Okay. Well, it's been a while since Ohio State's not only put together a run, but has put together a run when there's been fans. Because, you know, they almost won it in 2011, but that was in Lucas Oil, and there were a couple hundred fans there. It was not the same experience, but to be there in Chicago and to be covering a team that's putting together a run by playing its best, most exciting basketball at like the most important time, like it was a lot of fun to be there as an objective reporter, just writing about all this stuff after such a difficult season. And I thought, like we were talking earlier, if they'd have played that Purdue game like 2 days later, if that had been just a normal Purdue game, I feel like the way they were playing down that stretch, like I feel like they win that game, honestly. The way they were playing and the confidence they were playing with, you know, it was a real joy to get to write about a run like that after what had been such a dismal season for long stretches. And just to see like the joy on guys' faces and to, you know, just the guys cracking jokes in press conferences. Like I hadn't seen that since, I don't know, December.
Yeah,
like
back to themselves.
It was totally different vibe, and you could just feel, you could see it on the court, you could feel it in the interviews. It just was a different vibe, and it was a very positive way to end the year.
I thought it
winning helps, man.
Yeah, I thought it was fun to watch, man. Honestly, and you can tell our freshmen still had AAU legs going through the whole situation. So. I mean, we ran out of gas playing the first day of the Big Ten tournament and trying to win the whole thing. You got to give those guys credit. They didn't quit. They could have easily just, you know, hung their hat and just called it a day. They didn't quit. I thought we played some of the best basketball we played all year. And, you know, I got to give my big man Felix Okpara his credit, man. He really changed.
Oh, for sure.
He really changed our season towards the end just because he was playing with confidence. He was playing without fouling. He was changing shots at the rim. He was rebounding, defending like he normally does. But the thing that made him so great for us is he was a lob threat. So every time he rolled, you know, he had people tagging him. We was able to kick it out. That's why we had so many more assists because I thought we had more space on the perimeter with Felix diving. So you got to give Felix his credit, man. You saw him, and I say this all the time about Bryce. I say it about Bruce. I say about, you know, Roddy. We watched them grow up. Felix in the Big Ten tournament, I thought he really grew up and learned how to play basketball the right way, and he helped the whole team out. So I got to give Felix his credit.
I definitely agree with that one.
Yeah, man. I you know, it was just amazing. It's amazing how the group chats go after that last week. You know, like the number of my friends are like, man, this is just fun to watch. You know, and the biggest thing they were commenting on were effort, and they were playing with a little confidence. You know, a little swag. And I think you saw that, like you said, Adam. Like I just think they started believing again. And one of the greatest things to see was how enjoyable it was for each player to be happy for another guy. Like, you know, Roddy obviously like came out of his shell like crazy, and everyone's hyping him up, and we haven't given him the ball at the end of the game ever.
Yeah.
And nobody's questioning. It's like, all right, let's give it to Roddy, let him go to work. And he came through for us, you know, and obviously Bruce played well. And I think something we haven't touched on, you know, Bryce didn't play
but the one game
for 2 games, you know, so, and they still found a way. You know, I think that's what makes a really good basketball team is figuring out, okay, next guy up, how can we keep this thing rolling? And I think they played well enough for them to get a taste of what it's really supposed to be like. You know, what is good basketball like? What does playing well in the Big Ten look like? And that's only going to help us. You know, hopefully it fuels them throughout the offseason and then builds right into next year because, man, that was fun to watch. And now it's got me excited to see where we could go.
Man.
I think that's the main thing for sure.
I can't remember if it was Painter or Izzo that said this after the game, but they said that the way that Ohio State was playing in the Big Ten tournament, they said that in itself was obviously very impressive. But the fact that after losing 9 straight and 14 of 15, the fact that this team rallied late in the season when there's nothing to play for and won 2 of 3 and really gave Michigan State a run on senior day at Michigan State. They said that, you know, obviously the Big Ten tournament was an impressive result for them, but the fact that with nothing to play for, these guys banded together and ended the season the way they did before they even got to the postseason. I just thought that was a really interesting point, something I hadn't even really considered, but kind of goes along with what we're saying about playing really good basketball late and figuring it out.
We learned how to win, man. Honestly, that's the crazy part. Is the Michigan State game, they went on that run in the second half, and the old us would have crumbled and just let Michigan State take the game. We found a way how to manage the run, weather the storm, and we found a way how to win. And I thought that's just the result of all those games we was losing. And you saw people like Bruce, Justice even played well in the Big Ten tournament. We found a way to win. I thought that's going to carry over to next season is learning how to win games the right way. I thought we did that in the Big Ten tournament.
For me, it's just they were the team that we thought they were going to be, you know, all season long. At the beginning of the podcast, we all say, you know, it's a new group. They might struggle in the beginning a little bit, but, you know, the preseason and the pre-Big Ten season is going to get us ready for the Big Ten. And then they would make their run towards the Big Ten tournament. And, I mean, we predicted that to be true. They made their run in the Big Ten tournament. But for some reason, we're just going to forget about January and February where the team just went into shambles. But this is the team that we expected. Like literally the last 2 weeks, this is the team that we expected. For some reason, they found their mojo when it was too late. But it's just great. And I think Kraft pretty much touched on it that, you know, they got to use this to have fuel going into the offseason and knowing, you know, what they're capable of when everybody's playing at a great level. Everybody's contributing to the win and everybody has their own role and, you know, striving to be the best in it. You know, great things are going to come for the team. So I'm just happy that they figured that out towards the end of the season at least and didn't just, you know, dismantle and everybody just packed it up and went home. But we can talk about little X's and O's on some of these games. I'm going to start off with the Wisconsin one, of course, because we started off great. And I think that set the tone for the rest of the Big Ten tournament. You know, the first half was some of the best basketball, you know, they've had all year on the offensive end and the defensive end, holding them to, you know, under 20 points to start the game. You know, it was amazing. So, Kraft, you're the defensive guy. I'll let you go ahead and start that off on the thoughts of the game.
No, yeah, you're right. You know, I think we're touched on all of it. We didn't play perfect by any stretch, but I think we were playing hard and we were playing with a chip on our shoulder. And I think that showed every game. Honestly, I think my favorite game, Sully touched on it, was the Michigan State game because for all the reasons that he said. I thought having played 2 games, we would come out pretty hot, and Michigan State having not played yet, there's always that chance of them coming out a little slow. And I think that happened. But then they got their feet under them, and they're a team that was obviously playing great and had been shooting the ball like insanely well coming into it.
Yeah.
And they went on that run, but we did a great job of playing defense. You know, we held them to a extremely low percentage, the lowest percentage they've had in a while. And obviously that helps. And then we found a way in the last 4 to 5 minutes to just keep moving forward. And it was just fun to see them having fun. I think the fans started getting into it too throughout the weekend, which they were feeding off of, which was fun to see. Like I was loving having the game on. Owen was, you know, getting into it too. So
nah, that's real.
it was just a great, great. I'm glad we played on Wednesday because we got to see as many games as possible that we could watch, you know, and you never knew, you were like kind of excited for the next one. We just kind of ran out of gas against Purdue, but those first 10 to 12 minutes of that Purdue game, we were we were playing, man. We were hooping. We were making the right play. We were making the right read, hitting big shots.
Last 3 minutes.
The thing that hurt us a little bit in that game, Felix got his first foul at like half court, trying to get a steal on Edie. And then he picked up a second one quick. That was kind of like where you expect him to. But that first one was kind of like, we don't need that. We got no one. We have no one else that can guard him down there. We need you in the game. I think that was a little turning point for us in that game. But overall, super happy with how they did.
I wanted him to come up with that steal, and we'd have the Felix Okpara fast break. Like, I really wanted to see if he got the ball there. Like, I wanted to see how that was going to play out. Like, because that was going to be an unbelievable moment. Like,
Dallas Lauderdale.
That could have flipped the game right there.
Dallas Lauderdale versus North Carolina, Madison Square Garden. We're making a run. You guys, if you ever see ET, ask ET about this one. Dallas gets to steal at half court. Evans wide open under the basket. And Dallas trying to make some in and out moves, get pickpocketed. They throw it down. I think John Henson gets a dunk, and it's like, game is over. All you see is Evan in the background. So I think Felix could have did a little better, but that flashback just got me. Oh, my goodness. Craziness. Oh, that was a funny one for sure.
Oh man, never fails. Y'all bring that up once a year, man. Once a year, y'all always bring it up.
You have to. So that's PTSD with that one. I'm sorry that one that triggered me a little bit, but it's all right. It happens. He got a foul. That's probably better than the dunk. So
man, listen, Felix, but to bring it back, like Felix, I thought like we said, we touched on it earlier. He played well. And, it was just a freshman mistake. When you're playing that hard, sometimes you don't use your brain. Yeah. And in that situation, he didn't. He has to know the situation where we really needed to count on him for the whole 40 minutes to guard Edie. Like, it was just him. And he has to understand that I won't say going forward because we get Zed back. But, but now – I think he kind of eats into those minutes of Zed. I think he should be a starter. Same thing that Williams and Zach Edey did last year. They reversed roles and Williams came off the bench and Edey was the starter. I just think, with Felix, with that group, he brings more of a dynamic for us on the offensive end for our guards. Zed's a post-up guy. He's a duck-in guy. But when we got Felix out there, he sprints into the pick and rolls. He dives. He giving us lobs. And now, the weak side's crashing in. We got weak side kicks. And now now the ball's moving. Yeah, now we're attacking closeouts. I just think with Felix, we attack closeouts a little bit better with Zed because we play a little bit slower with Zed. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do next year. And I'm just happy that the guys was able to play. I mean, we saw Roddy, like Kraft said, come out his shell. We're giving the ball to Roddy at the end of the game. Bryce in the games that he played, Bryce was Bryce. Then you saw Bruce. You saw the combination of being a point guard and a scoring guard with Bruce, and he played really, really well. So, I mean, our freshmen, we say this all the time, grew up right before our eyes, but this Big Ten tournament really showed our future.
It was pretty cool with Roddy. I was looking at it. He had made 12 3-pointers all season, and he missed his first one. He missed his first one in the Big Ten tournament, and then he missed his last one. I think it was second half against Purdue. And in between, he made 9 straight. I was like, that's just an unbelievable run.
Yeah,
5 of those were in one
spot.
About
cooking on that wing.
Same for
45.
Yeah.
Like,
that
what are y'all doing?
Yes.
Painter was hurt for sure.
And I was just... It just, you could see, like, I would say at least 3 of those ones that he hit against Purdue, they were good before he let go. Like, where I was sitting, like, you could just see it, and you guys know what this is like. I don't. But when, like, you're in a zone like that, it's evident. And they knew if they got him the ball that it was going down. Like, you could see that just 2 rows from the court where I was sitting. Like, it was pretty evident.
Too. You see his face on a couple of the closeouts.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, you're late.
It's a bucket for sure.
I do think it's interesting too. Sully, you were just saying, like, Okpara and Zed and the difference between the offense with those 2 guys, because I was thinking about this, how until Zed got hurt, this was the number 1 offense in the nation, and Then he got hurt, and then everything went, fell apart from there. And it's going to be a fascinating decision going forward because Felix clearly showed enough to be a starter.
Yeah.
But then also, I think those first what was that, 14 games, 13 games, whatever that was, Zed showed it too, just in a different way.
Yeah.
And I don't, do you play him 20 minutes and swap one for the other? I don't know that they can play together. I know they want to play them together. I have a hard time envisioning that, but that's low key going to be a fascinating development for this team going forward because they both have clearly shown they can be the dude.
That's a good one. I mean, you bring up that point. I mean, how I would see it is it just makes your team that much more dangerous. Depending on what team you're playing, maybe one's going to get this many minutes, one's going to get this many minutes. But as long as they're selfless and play for the team, they're going to know, this game is going to be my game. Maybe this game is going to be Zed's game. They got a smaller defender. He can post up more. So I think that gives us a better offensive scheme and game plans that we can make. And literally the other teams are going to have to adjust to us instead of us worrying about, what to do and what try to figure out. As long as we let them both be themselves and be great. And I think it's better, for Ohio State Buckeyes always, for sure. So we'll see how it goes, but it's definitely going to be some decisions being made this off.
Before we move on, I feel like we need to give Justice a shout out because I feel like all year he's been the guy that's been the fall guy. He's been the guy that's he's the senior. He needs to do this. He needs to do that. And obviously, when we were struggling, he was the first guy everyone was we were on. But I feel like he showed a lot this week. He came out. He played well, as you guys always say. He was aggressive. He made some shots, I think, which helps, from a mentality standpoint. But overall, I feel like he played really well, and he showed that leadership and that effort that we were kind of expecting from him all year. So I thought that was really great to see from a guy that, like him and Sean. What are they playing for at this point? They're playing to make the tournament, but chances of that happening were pretty slim. But they came in with the right mentality, and we're getting after it. So they deserve to be, recognized and shouted out for the effort they put.
No, for sure, Kraft.
Oh, that's definitely a great one for sure.
You gotta clap it up to Justice, and I think the thing about Justice that made him so great was his aggressiveness. I mean, that was aggressiveness that we saw in the Big Ten tournament. We wanted to see all year, and he played great, sharing the ball, creating for others. He was getting into the lane. He was knocking down his 3-point shot. And I just felt like he was shooting like, there was no pressure. In all honesty, when he was open, he was just letting it go. And if he could play like that at the beginning of the year, I know there's a lot of pressure at the beginning of the year, but if he could have just played like that all year, I mean, you're talking about a different team. We'd possibly be in the NIT, possibly be in the NCAA tournament. I mean, there's about 4.
They'd be in the tournament.
Yeah, there's about 4.
Yeah, I mean, you think about where this team finished, in all the metrics and rankings and things, this team finishes 3 games under 500, but flip 2 of those games, and this team's 1 game above 500, and they're in. I mean, the metrics have them high enough. I think that they're probably in, which is an absolutely bonkers thing to say, given what we watched this year. But yeah, and to add on with Justice real quick, I was impressed defensively. He drew some assignments there in those games where he was guarding Murray. Or, he pick a long athletic wing that it was normally torching Ohio State this season. There was, and I want to say it was the Michigan State game. But there was a play they had the ball. Yeah, Hauser. Mm-hmm. There was a play they had the ball in the left baseline area, and the guy tried to make a cut to to the key, and Justice cut him off. And the guy had to turn back, and he picked up his dribble, and it resulted in a forced 3 at the buzzer that didn't go in. And it was just one very small defensive play that was not being made a month ago.
Yeah.
And I just thought boy, they were making a lot of those plays in Chicago, and that really made a big difference.
It's definitely a good one. I'm just glad that they didn't trick it off. The ending of that Iowa game was real wild. We're not going to talk about that one too much. I don't know. I don't know what was going on, but I definitely thought we were going to give it away then. Don't go back to the old ways. Please don't. But, hey, all was well. And we predicted right. We said that they would make it to Saturday, and then it was going to be a toss up with Purdue, but like we said, it's just too much. You can't do too much with the player of the year, and that man is a monster down low.
7'4", 305.
Hey, it happens. It happens. But all right, looking on forward, getting into the scout report, we talk about maybe just things for the season. What do we see coming up in the off season? I'll say Bruce making all tournament team. I think that was great. I mean, I think them, making him a captain and him going out and performing like he did and stepping up and, not just being about talk, but taking action and actually, filling in the role of a captain on and off the court, I think was great for the guys and for him to get his confidence back after, slumping a little bit, earlier in the season. But Roddy going crazy.
Oh, man.
What would be, I would say, one of your things that we look forward to in the future or in the off season or just from the end of this season to happen?
I think we got to go old school, man. We got to attack. We got to attack what we got right now, man. With how high we ended the season, we got to get in the gym and just attack each other. Brandon Miller, Jeff Bowes, Dave Dickerson, just man, just roll the ball out and just play ones and just play basketball and play 5-on-5 and just get after each other, man. The whole off season. I think that's the biggest thing is. We saw a level of competitiveness that we did not see since, the North Carolina game. I even say the first time we played Northwestern game, that competitiveness that we had going into the Big Ten, even going into the Big Ten tournament, like that's the team that we want to be. That's the team we want to be. We want to be able to play that hard all the time and be able to go into our bench the way we went into our bench. And I just thought we played great. So this offseason, we just got to attack what we already got. And then, the new guys coming in, shout out to Devin Royal, Mr. Basketball of Ohio, man. That's big time.
Yeah.
But
do you guys have a handshake?
No, we don't. No, we
like the Heisman.
Nah, we
yeah, like if you guys should have something like that. Right?
Nah, we don't. We should. We need to talk to whoever runs Mr. Basketball. But
I'm sorry, I had LeBron and OJ Mayo around.
Yeah, there was no chance.
Pick it up.
There was no chance, Dave. Sorry, but I mean, we got guys that's coming in that can ultimately make a difference. And with this freshman group, knowing how grueling a Big Ten season is. They can groom these incoming freshmen of what to prepare for. And if we have another, non-conference schedule that we did like this past year, I just think it's just going to help us out even more.
I want to see if they can bottle some of what they were able to show defensively the last couple of games, because it just felt like they played at a higher level. They were a little bit better connected. They had some more bite on that end of the court. And I think we've seen that this offense at times, you're going to have a rough game, or this season it got rough for a good while. But historically, Chris Holtman's offenses are top 25, top 20. They will score enough to win most nights in the Big Ten. It's just they've been so porous defensively these last couple of years, and I felt like they played better as a unit defensively. Izzo threw out the thought that, they didn't have Bryce in this game. That might have had something to do with why they played the way they did defensively. And
Tom.
I mean, he said he went
wrong though.
No, he's not. He went back and he said, don't misconstrue this. He's a hell of a player, but he did say like
real. I mean,
that's
real.
probably a thing here. And obviously Bryce has a decision to make, but like if this team can play defense the way it played in Chicago, like that significantly changes things. And I want to see where that improvement comes in the offseason, because that's been the thing that's held this team back for a couple years.
I mean, when you got a shot blocker like Felix back there changing everything, it's kind of easy to be like, hey, man, drive by me. I got this guy. I got this guy right.
Like literally, Coach Mata told us to do that with Greg. Like, be aggressive, go for steals, use him. This is what he's for. So that definitely changes what you can do, how aggressive you can be on the defensive end.
Yeah, cool.
Craft.
As a defender that like loves to go for steals, oh my goodness, that's amazing. It's just a great feeling, like knowing I can gamble and I'm not gonna give up an easy bucket, but as long as I gamble and get back and like help rebound, Felix is gonna touch it. So
Yeah.
Rest in peace to Adrian Payne,
but-
man. That's what you used to do in
And
AAU.
boy, AP, definitely, man.
Yo, hey Adrian, stop blocking out of bounds. Just grab it, bro. Next time down, one hand grab out of the midair. Like what is this? This makes no sense. For me, I think I want to see how they build off of what happened. Because they could go one or two ways. They could be like, okay, we can do it. We're satisfied. We're complacent. Let's just get ready for next year. Or we can like, all right, what went well this year? What went poorly? And how do we address those things that went poorly? So I think obviously the off season is the time to address those things and not just act like the whole last season didn't happen and, oh, we did great these last 3 weeks. So we kind of know what we're doing. I think they need to go back and consider and look at what was not working for us. Mm-hmm. And let's address those things and let's talk about those things with the younger guys and try to make it so those things don't happen again. And I think they can do it. I think Bruce stepped up huge the last half of the year, which isn't easy for any freshman, but let alone a freshman on a team that's struggling. I think Roddy's hungry. Obviously, Felix is getting into it. So I think the sky's the limit, but they need to approach the offseason appropriately, or we're going to end up next year saying, man, we have a lot of good pieces, and we're going to have the same conversations again of, why didn't we put this together? So.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I would say what Felix said, a couple of weeks ago, we need some dogs. Like, getting into the summertime, now this is really where you become dogs. And for me, I think it's kind of on him to kind of set that tone for the new guys coming in and making sure, they know, what type of dog they need to be. Because, they just went through the gauntlet of seeing the bottom and then seeing a little bit of success at the end of the year. So like you said, they use that to propel you forward. But this is where all the real work happens, in the off season. I think that's when we played our best. We got our best. And then in the games for us, it was, kind of easy because of the off seasons and, what we went through and pushing each other to become better. I think that's literally going to be the biggest thing. And then also without Bryce, we played well. Like, literally played well. The ball was moving more. Like you said, the defensive end was even better. So it gave me a little bit of hope that if he leaves, we can still, have things that can go our way on the offensive end and not too much fall off, and incorporating the new pieces. So we look forward to see what's going to happen, man. It's a lot of different changing parts coming up for us. So the Buckeyes.
Speaking of Bryce potentially leaving, who do we think stays? Who's going? What does our roster look like next year? What do y'all think? I personally think Bryce is gone.
I'm with you.
I'm
with you on that one, Kraft.
Outside of Bryce,
yeah, he's gone. He has to. I'm sorry, he has to though.
I mean, Eugene, does he have a spot? Does he feel like he can still contribute and fit in? He obviously played out of position all stinking season.
Yeah.
By the time he got healthy, because when he came back, Zed got hurt. He gives energy. He gives some athleticism and length. Defensively, I think he would be well if he wasn't guarding the other team's center or a guy that's over a foot taller than him.
I think Gene's decision is kind of based off of Bryce's decision. If Bryce comes back, then I really don't see a position for Gene, just because of what we got coming in and what we still got. So I really don't see Gene. Gene's basically based off Bryce. And funny story about Bryce was during vet week, I came to Coach Holman. I said, Coach, you got another one and done. He's like, don't say that, Sully. Don't say that. And I saw it in the summertime, man. Just his ability to score the basketball. At the next level, you have to score the basketball to be a draft pick, essentially. So in the defense end, they're going to work on that. But in the NBA, like, who are you really stopping? Those guys are elite for a reason. It doesn't matter if you're in their jaw; they still make shots. So, I mean, he has a lot of room to grow. But I can see Bryce. Bryce is definitely gone. Bryce is definitely gone.
I think Gene's going to be interesting because he's actually graduating. So I feel
really?
like
Wow.
you see a lot of times, and he has 2 years, and the poor guy's dealt with a ton of injuries. It's been like thing after thing with him, and to his credit, he always bounces back and he always fights his way back in, and he ends up making some sort of contribution during the season. But I always wonder with a guy like that, like if you've been through the gauntlet with injuries and you're graduating, like, and it's not like he's part of like a big class that like it's everybody that's his age on the team. Like he's kind of it's like him and Zed. But like, I don't know, I could see that making sense where if he just says, all right, I've got my degree, I'm ready to go start a new chapter somewhere. Maybe that's an outcome. The guys that I wonder about are the guys at the end of the bench who did not play. When you're losing 9 straight and you're not seeing any playing time, like, Tanner went from having a role to not having a role. Bowen never had a role on this team. Kalen Nessler never had a role on this team. Like, by all accounts, good locker room guys and guys who aren't doing you anything off the court that are going to hurt your program, and guys that are Ohio guys that it matters to them that Ohio State does well, but they didn't contribute to this team. So, what does that look like going forward? Only those guys can answer it, but I think that's the obvious questions when you look at the roster right now.
This is wild, and I'm not sure I even believe in it. Is there any possibility Zed leaves? Felix has played well. Who kind of everyone's seen him in a starting role.
I can't see
I'm about to say,
all right, that's cool.
That would be that. I mean, that's not a bad question, but I think he's
I just don't see
locked in.
Yeah, I don't think he wants to leave. Even have that inkling of leaving.
I just had to throw it out.
I mean,
there.
nothing wrong with that. Definitely nothing wrong with that.
But if he do leave, that would be interesting.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes. But all right, man, get into our word on campus. They finished great, so I'm guessing it's a lot of good talk around campus right now. I think they left everyone with a little bit of hope, for a brighter future. But what I've seen is about Mr. Coach Holtman. What is all of this Notre Dame talk that I've heard of? Someone please enlighten me, because this kind of came out of nowhere. Would you guys take a different position over Ohio State? Not saying that Coach Holtman is going one way or the other, but if you're in
I'll tell you that he's
his spot, what are you guys thinking?
I'll tell you that he's not going. I mean, that's.
I love having Adam on the show.
You got at least.
I try to bring something. There's a couple of things at play there. I mean, first of all, he flat out told me, and it's in story I wrote today, I'm not going to Notre Dame. I stand by what I've said publicly. I'm committed to Ohio State. Mm-hmm. Like, there's a whole kind of process at play here, and obviously this year didn't go to where Ohio State wanted it to go. But when they signed him to a contract extension last year, it was, we're building and we're going to take some lumps, but we're building through these younger guys. We're going to have this young core of players that's going to develop, and that's going to get us to sustained success. There's going to be some bumps along the way. Nobody thought it would be this pronounced, but that happened. Mm-hmm. They're 1 year into that plan right now. So does either side after 1 year say, actually, you know what, never mind? And the answer is no. Nobody, especially not the way they played down the stretch, especially with the talent coming in. You don't just say, all right, never mind, that was a horrible idea. From a financial standpoint, if Ohio State were to move on from Chris Holtman, they would have to pay him like $18 million right now, which obviously ain't going to happen either. And if he wanted to leave, there's like the buyout right now is $2.5 million.
Notre Dame got that.
So, well, if you're talking about Notre Dame, specifically Notre Dame here, all right, they're paying Mike. They were paying Mike Bray like 2.5 ish, which is a full $1 million plus less than what Holtman's making.
And that's why they've been mediocre.
So is Notre Dame, and again, we're just in this specific case, but like, are you going to pay at Notre Dame? Are you going to pay the buyout for a coach that is equal to what you're paying your current coach, and then pay that coach what he's currently making plus more? Because Chris Holtman ain't going to leave and take a $1 million pay cut. No, nobody's going to do that.
Hey, some people like peace of mind these days.
I mean, he has no ties to Notre Dame either. You know, like it's not like it's his alma mater and he was there for years and
right.
And we got another
So-
top 5 recruiting class coming in. Like, come
And
on.
there's that.
Like,
And there's
that's
that.
just
For sure.
ridiculous.
For sure.
And I think it gets overlooked. And I hear this from fans. They claim they don't care about this stuff, but like, name me one off the court problem Ohio State has had. Like, that stuff does matter.
Mm-hmm.
I think. And I think, and whether it matters to you personally, that matters to Gene Smith.
Mm-hmm.
And so these things all paint this picture. Like, if Ohio State is in the same spot next year, it might be a different conversation.
Yeah.
But until we get to that point, and I don't think they'll be in this position next year, but until they would get to that kind of point, like, this whole thing is just, it's not even a conversation. And that puts me in a weird spot as a journalist where I'm like writing about a non-story, and by that, like, kind of making it a story. Like, it's a weird
No, for sure.
like balance to try to strike, because I'm not trying to call attention to something that's not there.
Nah, that's those fans, man. Those Buckeye faithful. They want heads when it's bad.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy. I don't know why all the time.
I mean, and you got to win.
That's
You got to
how-
win.
but
Like that.
That's what
that
I'm saying.
matters.
This is his first time losing. You can't just, jump off the ship right away because of that. All right, we still love Buckeye football, but who have we lost to the last 2 seasons?
Yeah, and they calling for his job too now.
Well, there's that. Yeah. Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, who else do you want?
I mean, I'm with you, Lighty.
Exactly.
I'm with you.
Hey.
And around this time, it's no point. It's really no point. Like, do you really leave this group of guys to go to Notre Dame? I mean, it's kind of hard to recruit at Notre Dame for basketball anyway. So, I mean, it's no point in him leaving.
No.
At all.
Really appreciate that breakdown, Adam. I could see there's a little passion in your voice there.
Well, I have had to discuss this on so many platforms in so many different ways, and trying to break it down to so many different people. And just like, and then I wake up Tuesday morning and there's a national college basketball columnist for the New York Post who tweets that there's reports that Notre Dame is zeroing in on Chris Holtman. And I'm like, it's not happening.
Really?
But then I got to like chase that, and I got to write that because someone else has put that out there. And it's just like,
Stop
this
it.
is the off-season stuff.
Stop
that,
it. Tell them. Leave it be.
A brighter word on campus. Women's team got a 3 seed in the NCAA tournament, so they're going to host Saturday here in Columbus at 1:30. Have a solid chance. I mean, I think North Carolina's would be the favorite for them to play in the second round, which I think North Carolina got underseeded a little
Deja
bit.
Kelly.
But
She's
chance
tough.
to make back-to-back Sweet 16s. They're going to play both games. Hopefully, they play 2 at least. They play here in Columbus, so
Go support.
they're getting back healthy with everyone coming back. So hopefully, Buckeye Nation shows out and they can carry the March Madness torch for us this year.
They can definitely make a run, at least Elite 8 for sure. So we'll see how that goes. But
We got
all
a good
right,
defensive
man.
group.
We're going to talk about the tournament, even though we're not in it. We got to give something to finish it off. What we're going to predict for the NCAA tournament. Who we got winning the 2023 National Championship? I'll go ahead, Sully, start it off. See if we can get one last thing right, even though it's not our Buckeyes. So who you got?
I can't tell you who's going to win it, but I got Marquette, Purdue, UCLA, Kansas in the Final Four.
Final Four. Who's your final then?
I don't know.
Hey, I'm with you though, because this year is crazy. This year is definitely.
I really don't know. I really like the Marquette team. I really like just because like Shaka Smart is doing one hell of a job, and they got an Ohio product and Sean Jones on the team. So I'm always I'm always rooting. Thank you for the Columbus kids, but I do have an upset. I got Kent State over IU.
I wanted to know.
Yeah.
I wanted to know. I was going to
Shout out
ask you about
Sixth Man
that.
of the year, too.
Right. Shout out to my nephew.
This guy.
I got him beating IU. Sincere Carey, Malik Jacobs, 2 of the best defensive guards in the country, man. And then, my nephew coming off the bench hitting big shots. I think we got a fair shot against IU this year.
I love it.
Sully, who you got in your Final Four?
Did it make sense?
No, it makes
right,
no
then
sense.
Tell me who's in each bracket.
Purdue and Marquette are in the same bracket. Kansas and UCLA are in the same bracket.
Never mind. Then give me.
Oh, that was it.
Houston and Texas, Alabama and Arizona are the other.
I
don't know.
I like Alabama. I do like Alabama. It's just how much more can they take off the court? Like, there's so much stuff going off the court, and they're going to surround this team with those questions. After a while, man, it kind of creeps into the locker room, and you just get tired of it. It kind of takes a toll on you. But Alabama, they got a chance, but now you messed it up. I got Kansas over UCLA. They go into the Final Four, and then I think Edie's just a little too much for Marquette. As long as the guard plays right, they'll go to the Final Four. Yeah. So, and then the other, I don't like Houston. Houston doesn't score the ball enough for me because, in the NCAA tournament, you have to score. They don't score enough for me. So, whoever's number 2 in that bracket, they go.
Texas is 2.
I like Texas been playing great.
Kent State's up there.
We already got that prediction.
We just need one upset, and then after that,
all right, you pushing it out, crap.
Just
let him know.
Adam, are you going to games? How does that work? Are you going to be?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, since it's in Columbus. I'll be there actually all day Thursday for interviews, all day Friday for games, all day Sunday for games. I'm nothing better. There's literally nothing better than home. Well, I'll bet covering or playing in the tournament is better than covering the tournament, but there's nothing better as a writer than covering the NCAA tournament. It's the greatest time of year. It's the best thing you can be around. You can't write enough. Everything you write, people are reading. Everybody's watching. If the game that you're watching in person stinks, you just go put it on the TV somewhere and catch whatever game is good. Like, it's the best. It is the absolute best. Thank God it's in Columbus because
who you got winning it? Then?
I get to. I have no idea.
Can you make a prediction? We don't want to get you in trouble. Can you make a prediction?
I like. I'll give you a couple teams I like. Like, I wish that I like San Diego State. I don't know that I like them in a 5-12 game right off the bat, so it's not great. I like Texas A&M. I think they're really underseeded as a 7, but I don't. And I could see there being a path where maybe they put together a run. I do like Houston, even though they don't score maybe as well as, like Sully said, you would like. I like UCLA, but they got an injury. So, I'm almost kind of leaning more toward like a Marquette, just because I'm also not to piggyback on Sully, but like,
Columbus guy.
The negativity around Alabama, like I think at some point that catches up, and they're the best team. They're the number 1 seed. They're clearly talented enough, but I think all the other stuff. Plus, I saw this today. It's been. Do you know the last team that won the NCAA tournament that was the overall number 1 seed?
Kentucky.
North Carolina. 05. No, Illinois was the number 1 seed that year.
I'll give you a hint. It's actually no longer recognized.
Who got banned? It's not the team up north. Who else is
No. Louisville?
Kansas?
Louisville. 2013 Louisville.
Wow.
Did not. That's the last time that the overall number 1 seed won the whole thing. 10
Kentucky
years.
did it the year before.
I think you're right.
With Anthony Davis.
Y'all didn't play him. Y'all made me mad, but it's okay.
Yeah,
my bad.
My bad. You're right, Dave.
No, but the ref. Let's go to that game. The ref at the end, the next day came up to Kraft, and I remember Kraft coming up to me and telling me this. Came up to Kraft and said that was not a violation when Kraft missed the free throw on purpose and got his own rebound. Do you remember that?
They called it.
I remember.
They called it violation. It was not a violation. We still had a chance.
If they called it,
I had a bad turnover.
Didn't happen.
I had a bad turnover at the end of the first half. We were up 13. Go up.
I went to sleep. I'm in Italy. I went to sleep. Like, oh yeah.
Yeah. My bad. That's us. Let's go back to this year.
Oh, it's all right, Kraft. Your prediction.
That's your fault, Lighty. You went to sleep. You never go to sleep.
What you mean?
This is true.
It was over with. It was time. It was like 4 a.m.
Sleep that night afterward.
Nah, we did not sleep that night.
Who you got winning it, Kraft?
No, I don't know if I can pick a winner, but I think the Kansas's bracket, Kansas, UCLA, Gonzaga. I think you can never count Gonzaga out down there. With UCLA being hurt, I can see that coming down to Kansas and Gonzaga.
Oh,
that'd be a really fun game to watch in the Elite Eight.
Yeah.
Houston has an injury too, right? So.
Oh yeah, you're right.
That I think that affects them pretty significantly. So Texas down there, I think obviously destroyed Kansas recently. So, and then Texas A&M, the Big Ten historically doesn't do great
Why
in the
do we
tournament.
Beat up on each other all year?
Which kind of sucks. I think Purdue finds its way to, the Elite Eight. It's just so hard to guard.
Oh my God.
And they play so well around him.
Yeah.
They have guys that are
they
fitting
plays
perfectly.
even
So
when he double.
I think they can do it. The other matchups, I think they're toss up. We already mentioned IU. Penn State plays Texas A&M. So Iowa's into, who do they play? So I feel like we can win some games. I don't know how many we get in the it would be great if we could kind of show that we were good with all the teams that we have in, and we can finally make a run. But I don't know if this is the year. So yeah, I think Alabama, as you guys talked, Arizona's been playing well recently over there. So Maryland plays West Virginia. Who knows? So Baylor's in there. I think Baylor can make a run. They have some experience and really good guard play. Like you said, Sully, you need good guards in the tournament because that's just what it comes down to.
This year is a toss up. It's literally no clear cut person or team, I should say, who's got the lead. So that's the beauty about the tournament, man. Adam, you enjoyed that one. I'll be definitely tuned in and watching all the games, man. And this is us signing off. We appreciate y'all sticking with us. Clap it up for our Buckeyes on the way they finished the season. We're definitely happy and excited about that. Go support our Lady Buckeyes and make sure, of course, you add us, ask us questions, and get ready for another season of this. And we'll make sure we come back, better and have the podcast jumping. Make sure y'all get us in the top 100 too. Stop playing.
like and subscribe. Like and subscribe.
Beyond the Big Ten is a network of podcasts that aims to be your go-to resource for all things Big Ten. We cover the entire conference with shows hosted by ex-players and athletic alumni, aiming to be your go-to source of information and entertainment for your favorite team. Hosted by ex-Big Ten players, media, and insiders, our podcasts are focused on giving diehard fans and those alums an inside scoop about the teams and people that make the Big Ten Conference one of the most watched and most talked about conferences in sports. We're excited to talk Big Ten basketball with you wherever you may be. Subscribe now.